algebra is like a language, and you need to understand this language. It is important to understand some of the terms that we're going to be using when dealing with the wonderful world of algebra. So we have in very big writing this thing here, 3x plus 4y minus 7z plus 5. And we're going to be using that to help us to define a whole bunch of words down here. So the first word that you need to know is the word pronumeral. Okay, because you're going to be having a whole bunch of questions to say, find the value of the pronumeral. And all that means is find the letter. The pronumeral means the letter. So we've got x's, we've got y's, we've got z. We've got 3 different letters in that particular expression there. Okay, that's the pronumerals. The next word you need to know is the word expression. An expression is a combination of numbers and letters, which means the pronumerals, joined together using either add, subtract, or multiply and divide signs. Brackets can also be used. Expressions do not have an equal sign. So this thing here is an expression because it is 3x plus 4y, there's a whole bunch of plus and minus signs putting those things together. But there's no equal sign there, okay? Which is important because once it gets an equal sign, it then becomes an equation. Next, we want to know what a term is. A term are the little individual sections of that expression. So this expression here has 4 terms. 3x is a term, 4y is a term, minus 7z is a term, and the 5 is a term as well. So if you look at the little plus or minus signs, they're the parts that are separating the terms in that expression. Coefficient. The word coefficient means the number in front of the letter. So if I ask you for the coefficient of the x, you find the x and you want the number in front of the x, which is a 3. What about if I ask you for the coefficient of the y? 4. What about if I ask you for the coefficient of the z? It's actually minus 7, because if there's a minus sign, you've got to include the minus. So it's just the number that is in front of the letter that I tell you. Okay? The constant term. The constant term or constant coefficient, says there in brackets, has no letter, no pronumeral involved. The constant term in the one that we've got up here, the one that does not have any letters, is which one? That has a letter, has an X. Which one does not have a letter? This one here. The 5. Okay, so that is called our constant term. Alright, now that you know what all of those words mean, you got one? Now you know what all those words mean, we want to do some examples. So it says, write an algebraic expression. Okay, it means we're going to be writing something down like that, 3x plus 4y. We're going to be writing an expression with letters in it to represent each of these things here. The first one says, the number of tickets needed for 5 girls and m boys. So, the 5 girls, we know there's 5 girls, so we're going to need 5 tickets for those girls, aren't we? Clayton? No smart aleck comments, thank you. The boys, we don't know as a number what the m represents. But we know that there are m boys, so we need 5 tickets for the girls and we need m tickets for the boys. So 5 plus m will be the total number of tickets that you would need for those people. Yeah, and that's my expression, that's all I do. Let's try part B. The cost of D donuts at $2 each. Anyone want to have a try? D is the letter that's going to be in my expression. If I wanted to buy 10 donuts, I'd go 2 times 10, wouldn't I? But I have D donuts, so what should I do? 2 times D. But in algebra, one of the little things that we do is that we don't actually like to write multiplication signs. We write things next to each other and it means multiply. So 2D means 2 times D. But that's how you should write it, and the number should always be first. We don't ever go D2. We put the number first. Part C, the number of grams of lollies if 400 grams is shared equally among C children. What do you think the word shared means in terms of add, subtract, multiply, or divide? What does sharing? Divide, that's right. So that sharing means I want to divide. What am I dividing? I'm dividing 400 grams, and what am I dividing it by? C children. Now, another one. Multiplication up here. We wrote them next to each other. We also don't particularly like using divide signs for answers. You'll see them in some of the questions. We don't like to have that kind of divide sign in our answers. Instead, we prefer to write them as fractions because a fraction means divide. So 400 over C would be doing 400 sharing it or dividing it by C people. Yeah, makes sense so far? Good. All right, question 2 on the next page. Write an algebraic expression for 3 less than y. What does the words less than mean? Add, subtract, multiply, divide. Which one of those 4 does less than?
Subtract.
Subtract, excellent. So I'm going to have to subtract something. Am I subtracting the 3 or am I subtracting the y? It says 3 less than. I'm subtracting the 3. So even though the 3 is first in the way that is written, I'm actually wanting to subtract the 3 from the y because that is 3 less than the y, isn't it? So when you're subtracting, be careful of that little trick because it is important which one is being subtracted. Part B. 4 more than. What do you think the words more than mean? Plus, that's right. So 4 more than twice x. So there's another word in there. What do you think the word twice is going to mean?
Times.
Timesing by what?
2.
Yeah. So timesing something by 2. Very good. So twice x is going to be 2x because we put the number first, remember, when they're timesed, and we put them next to each other. No times sign. And I want 4 more than that, which means I want to plus 4. Now, addition is actually the good one because it doesn't matter if you went 2x plus 4 or 4 plus 2x. It doesn't matter which order you add things in. Subtracting, it does matter which one you're subtracting off, but not for addition, okay? All right, part C. The sum of P and Q, what does the word sum mean? Plus, okay, so you're working out these words. So I want to sum P and Q, means P plus Q. Is divided by, so we know it's telling us the word divide, but we're not going to use the symbol divide. What are we going to do? Fraction. Great. We're going to divide that by 5. So I've summed P and Q, and that's all been divided by 5. All right, D. The square of the sum of M and N. This is a bit of a tricky one. All right, I need to find the sum of M and N first. What does sum mean? Plus. So that is going to be M plus N. All right, there's the sum of M and N. To square something means to put a little power of 2 on it. So I want that squared. Okay, that's what squared means. Okay, great. Next bit, we're going to be doing some substituting into expressions, and there's some steps here to follow. The order that you should do things in, you should always do order of operations, which is brackets, indices, multiplication, and addition and subtraction. However, we're going to be using our calculator to do most of the calculating part. What we need to do is I'm going to give you an expression. So here is the expression, 3b take away 4 bracket a minus c. And I'm actually going to tell you what the A, the B, and the C are equal to. A equals 4, B equals -3, C equals 5. We want to substitute those into the expression. So, my 3B minus 4, that part, I'm subbing into there. So I'm going to write it down again. 3, but instead of the B, what is B equal to? It told me. B is equal to -3. When the 3 and the B are next to each other, that means they're multiplied, doesn't it? So it's going to be 3 times by -3. So that was a 3B part. Then I have -4 bracket. A, what's A? 4, good. And what is, I have a minus sign, what is C? Yeah, close bracket. Okay, once you have done that line, so that's what I call the substitution line because you've subbed in all your numbers, then I want you to just grab your calculator and type it in. Anton, I want to see full written down answers at the end of this. So get writing. 3 times -3 minus 4, I think you'll need a times sign before that bracket. 7 minus 5, close bracket, equals. Did everyone get -5? Yeah, you got -5? Excellent. Okay, so I want to see substitution line, and then I want to see the answer that you get from your calculator after that. Okay, let's try that again for B. My new expression is B squared minus 5AC. So instead of B squared, I want to put something in there for the B. What's B equal to? -3. Whenever you want to square a negative number, put it in brackets. So I put a bracket around that -3 and a squared. Then minus 5A, what's A? 4, but remember because they're next to each other it means times. So 5 times 4 times by C, which is 5 again. Good. Okay, that's the substitution line. Calculator time. So brackets, -3, close bracket squared. Do you have your calculator there? Everyone should be typing this in, please. Got -91. Did you guys get the same thing? Wonderful. All right, so that was a run through of what you need to practice today. Here is your stuff on page 4. You're doing exercise 3A.